All right, so when the hips move correctly in the golf swing, it's pretty daggone easy to be consistent. And the first piece of that is the sway to the right. And it's actually caused by something different than the hips. Most people think it's the hips doing this wrong. It's actually the shoulders doing this wrong. So let's start out with this sway I'm talking about. So piece number one would be this sway to the right, where my hips move to the right, my upper body ends up going this way, and I end up having a little bit of a reverse pivot. Now, even if you don't have a reverse pivot, most golfers that I see have a little too much of this move in their backswing. So here's actually what's going on. It's not the hips, it's the upper body. You see, we want to get a weight shift to the right. We want to feel like the weight moves to the inside of the right foot in the takeaway. Now, one way that a lot of people feel this is by getting their hips to actually slide over towards that outside foot. So the belt buckle, if you're looking at that, a lot of players will do this to get that weight to go over there. Now, when I've done that, I've got my weight to move to the right by sliding my hips, which we don't want, and I've kept my upper body to the left like this. So you'll see this kind of a motion. Now, if you want to fix this, the answer is not keeping your hips from sliding to the right, because that won't work. We won't have a weight shift if we do that. So in the wrong way, hips went right, upper body stayed left. A lot of times the fix will be, okay, I won't move my hips to the right, but then you're used to keeping the upper body over here and it looks something like that. It's very awkward. Here's what should really happen. Put a club across your shoulders. As you rotate in the backswing, feel like your belt buckle stays still. And good golfers, the belt buckle is not going to move that much to the right, or the center of the hips, I should say, inside the body, is not going to move that much to the right, but the shoulders and the upper body will. So they're going to get their head a little bit behind the golf ball. My weight is shifting to the right because my shoulders, my arms, all of that is moving to the right and kind of throwing that weight out there. So the hips aren't doing this, the upper body is doing that. Here's a great way to know if you're doing this right. Put a club across your shoulders, take your backswing, and you should see your shoulders are kind of in line with the inside of your right foot. Now if I do it the wrong way, I put a club across my shoulders and I slide, look where that club is. It's way on this side of the inside of my right foot. So instead of there, it should be there. That's the right way to get the weight shift. Another great way to feel this, dangle this club from your shirt buttons, and as you go in the backswing, it shouldn't be touching your stomach or your chest. It should be hanging away from your body slightly. If I do this the wrong way again, and I keep my upper body back and I slide my hips, it's against my body, it's against my chest. So the weight shift to the right is from the upper body, the arms, and the club swinging to the right. It's not the hips going to the right. That's piece number one. Now from there, as we start the downswing, the hips are going to start to move to the left. So as I've turned everything closed, now I'm going to feel like my weight is going to the left as my hips stay closed. My upper body is going a little to the left as my upper body stays closed. And then when I get to my weight to my left, then I'm going to start to open up. So again, if we're looking at these hips, not much of a movement to the right in the backswing. As we start the downswing, they move left, and then they move further left, and then they move further left, and then they move further left. So all the way in the downswing, your momentum from your hips just keeps going left. In the backswing, it doesn't go very far to the right. And in the transition in the downswing, it moves left the entire way. So if this was the center of my hips, here's the backswing, almost no movement. Here's the downswing. It just goes left the entire time. That's how you get your weight left. That's how you get the divot in front of the golf ball. That's how you make all that happen. I mean, imagine it. The golf ball's in the middle of your stance where the middle of your hips are. If I don't get my hips shifted in front of that golf ball, there's no way I'm going to get that divot in front of the golf ball. So that's the left and right movement of the hips. Now, it becomes incredibly difficult to do this the right way if you don't get this next piece, which would be what's called anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. Now, that's a big fancy way of saying belt buckle down, belt buckle up. Here's what that means. Anterior tilt would be when I turn my pelvis forward like this. So if my pelvis is straight up and down, as I tilt my pelvis forward, or my belt buckle, if you imagine there's a laser shooting out of it, when I'm standing straight up and down, it'd be parallel with the ground. As I bend my pelvis forward, now that's shooting down more toward the golf ball. Now, when I make that weight shift, when I get that turn in the backswing, if I'm in this anterior tilt or belt buckle down, that makes it a lot easier to get in this position we talked about with the shoulders on the outside of my of my hips on the inside of basically my shoulders are on the inside of my right foot. You see, what a lot of players will do, again, is instead of having that belt buckle down, they'll have it up. And as I do my backswing and that belt buckle's up or level with the ground, now all of a sudden that kicks my hips out this way and my upper body starts leaning back. If I was to go ahead and tuck that belt buckle down from there, okay, now I'm in that great position that we want to see. Now in the downswing, we keep that belt buckle down until we're about halfway in the downswing. So when my left arm is parallel to the ground, I want my butt to feel like it's out, belt buckle toward the ball, and then from there, I can rotate into my full finish where my entire body is facing the target and my belt buckle's level. So again, if this is my pelvis, here's the backswing. I make it go down. As I go halfway into the downswing, it stays down, and then, so it looks like this. It stays down, and then it's not until the follow through that my pelvis comes up. So it's kind of like this. Down, stays down, stays down, stays down, stays down, then it comes up through the shot. Most players have the pelvis go up, belt buckle up, goes up, up, up even more. We lose our posture and we flip at it. So feeling like that belt buckle's down and rotating through there can be a fantastic feeling to not only get rid of that sway, but to also stay in our posture in the downswing. Now finally, what's the rotation piece? Well, I want my hips to rotate about 45 degrees in the backswing. Again, I'm not standing up out of my posture like this. I can have my right leg straighten a little bit. What I don't want to do is have it straighten this way or sliding out away from my target. When it straightens, I want it to keep this same angle. So when I straighten my right leg, it's almost like it's pushing my hip back and getting more hip turn. My feet have to loosen up, my knees have to move to allow my hips to rotate that way. If my knees don't move, I can't move my pelvis at all. My knees have to move to get that pelvis moving. Now from there, I get that little weight shift to the left, and look at my knees now, really flexed, really bending the legs. As I'm halfway in my downswing, now my hips are about square with the golf ball. And then from there, I'm taking these bent legs and I'm driving through the shot into that full finish. So in the backswing, my legs are bent, my legs can straighten a little bit to get the hip turn. As I start my downswing, they really get bent, and then they straighten as I rotate on through the finish. Here's the key with the finish. This foot has to come completely off the ground to get the hips to rotate on through. I bet somewhere between 70 and 90% of the golfers that I see that struggle with consistency and power are doing something like this. They're staying on that right foot, falling back a little bit, and it looks a lot like that, to where the weight never comes off this back foot, it stays flat on the ground. It needs to be here so that I can get all the weight moving through the shot and get my belt buckle facing to the target. Now, even if you're stiff as a board, you're the least flexible person on the planet, you can get your belt buckle toward the target if you do these two things. Number one, if you're stiff, open up this front footed address a little bit. That allows you to come through the shot a little bit easier. And number two, rotate that right foot all the way around. So test that for me. Stand straight up and down, rotate your front foot out about 30, 45 degrees. Rotate toward the target like you were just standing and talking to somebody. And if you can do that, standing like this, then you can do it in a golf swing. And that's the only way that you can really finish a golf shot and get your weight and all the momentum moving through the ball. So that's a rundown of what the pelvis does throughout the swing. It's a crazy amount of detail, but hopefully it opened your eyes on a few things and how to get the right feeling to make this happen. Now, if we do this correctly, the club is going to be coming from the inside. So what that means is, as I start to get that little squat move and my belt buckle's down, the club is from in here, and then I'm going to release the club through contact. Now, most people do something that will never allow their hips to do that, and that is they try to square the club by rolling the forearms. You see, when I roll my forearms, I get farther away from the ground, or I have to get farther away from the ground. You see, if I throw my forearms at this ball, in order for the club head to hit the ball, I have to actually back up out of my posture. I have to get my belt buckle to kind of level out, which I don't want, right? So they stand up out of the posture and flip like this. It looks a lot like this motion. The way the pros do it is they square the club with their arms and their wrist in a totally different way. So their hands are leading in front. They haven't rolled the forearms over, but they've used the club in the right way so they get the hands in front and the face is still square. Most people, when they do that motion, the face is wide open. Well, that's what I call the anti-roll method. And I'm going to teach you that step by step. Exactly what you need to know about it, how to stay in your posture, how to use your hips correctly. All that comes down to releasing the golf club the right way. Until we get that piece solved, everything else is going to be a mess. So go ahead and click the card. I'll play a preview of this video here in a second. Click one of the cards that you see pop up on your screen. If you don't see the card, don't worry. Go down to the link below in the description. You'll get instant access to that video. I'll show you exactly what to do and how to do it, what all this means, and it's gonna be like you're walking into a door, into a room you've never seen before. It all starts to make sense on how it all ties together. So best of luck. Go ahead and click that card now, and I'll see you in the anti-roll method. Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep, and that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this, there's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,